So I actually recorded this, and I'm re-recording it because of a small technical glitch. This I intend to be the 6th presentation in a series of presentations, and I found a title for this presentation. The title is Ethics or Death. I want for other people to act ethically. Do you want that? If so, why do you want other people to act ethically? I'm going to take a look at this question, starting this way. If people of the future have amazing medicine which stops the aging process, which gives them health, like the health of 18-year-olds, if these people have done what they can to avoid dying in an accident, how important will it be for them, how important will it be to them to avoid being murdered? And when I say to them, you can include to you, because if we convince enough people soon enough, then we could get medicine soon to prolong our healthy lives. And what I want you to keep in mind is this, that if we get an extra 20-year extension on healthy life, then that's an extra 20 years for technology to be developed to give us another 50 years. And if we get 50 years, then 100. You get the picture. But what I'm saying is, at some point, it's not just each time extending by another 200 or 2,000 years. At some point, we get to the panacea, the thing that makes it unnecessary for us to die of medical causes. Remember, I'm not talking about accident, I'm not talking about murder, but makes it unnecessary for us to die for what we now consider medical reasons or natural causes. And let me just say, natural causes, another way of putting it, another way of stating natural causes is to say death due to inadequate medical technology. So, when we have the panacea, how important will it be to avoid being murdered? Well, to answer that question, let's look at statistics in a really simplistic way. I'm not a statistician, but I get the general idea of how statistics work. If medical technology enables you to live 100 years, and your odds of being murdered are 1 in 100,000, let's say, just suppose it's that, then if somehow now you have the lid lifted off and you could live to 100,000 years, now your odds of being murdered at some point in that 100,000 years are pretty much 1 in 1. From being 1 in 1,000, if you could only possibly manage to live 100 years, you've got a 1 in 1,000 chance of dying in a murder sometime in those 100 years. Now you're looking at 1 chance in 1, approximately unity odds of dying sometime in the first 100,000 years of what you would like to be your natural life. So, that is, of course, if the murder rate stayed fixed for an entire 100,000 years, which is extremely unlikely given the nature of society and social changes. Now, what if social changes cause the murder rate to rise? That would undo the value of the medical effort. If you know that you don't have to get old, don't have to die, will that not give you reason to care more about murders? To care more about what causes murders, and to ask yourself, what social adjustments can I initiate that will improve my odds to my benefit? I don't mean get it from 1 in 100,000 to 2 in 100,000. I mean push it the other way, the way that benefits you. So, my answer to that question that I asked, would you care? My answer is, well, yes. And so, let's talk about not being murdered. I want to make points. I want to make point 1. You need people to not murder you. And in this point, I'm asking, can you do that by making this deal? Could you say, okay, all of you around me, will you agree to not murder me while I agree to pay you some money? But I don't agree to not murder you. Would anyone else think that an offer worth accepting? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I'm just going to go into it just for the amusement of it. I mean, here it is. Okay, so I agree to pay you to not murder me, and then 5 years from now, when you haven't murdered me for 5 whole years, I murder you and I take back all the money. I mean, it's just nutty. It just can't work. It has to be reciprocal behavior for behavior. So that was point one, but here's the next point. Suppose you are negotiating the pact to be signed by the members of what we'll now call the No Murder Society. Will the society be able to function if the only banned act is the act of murder? Okay, if you imagine a society where only murder is bad, but suppose every day people steal from you, and you happen to be the person that other people pick on, so now you're about to starve. Everything of yours is stolen. You have no goods to trade for food. You're gonna die. Didn't help that you banned murder. I mean, did you make a good deal signing up to the No Murder Pact? Well, no. You're gonna die anyway. If you were to complain, for example, to the other members of the No Murder Society, ask them for some protection from this rampant theft that's going to leave you dead, they'd turn around and say to you, no one's murdering you. No charge of murder can stand. We can't take your side against evil because the only evil is murder and nobody's murdering you. Nobody's doing evil to you. So in the second point about not being murdered, and that's what we're getting at, the second point about not being murdered as, it only makes sense to trade your abstinence from murder as part of a package deal in which all members of the No Evil Society agree to do no evil to all the other members, to any of the other members. They agree that they will not do evil to any other member. What my second point comes down to is that it has to be a package of bans. If it is not a package deal, it just doesn't have any value. Now I have a third point. So tackle the third point this way. Suppose you prepare the pact for the No Evil Society, and you write into the pact that the society elects by majority vote a committee which is permitted to do the evil acts from which other members are banned. I mean, this is just taking one case, but it illustrates an entire pattern, and I'm sure you can figure out how that works. Does this pact offer a new member any certainty of protection? Let's look at it. Most members of the society won't murder the new member, but a committee member might. Then, what has the new member gained by membership? Let's just get it straight. If the pact is written for the No Evil Society, and the pact allows any member to do evil to any other member, then membership becomes worthless. From the point of view of the individual member considering becoming or not becoming a member, membership is worthless, because that member might just be the unlucky one that gets in the sights of somebody who's exempt from the bans. So, let's zoom out a little to the question of what evil is. I propose the definition that evil is each of the acts which would have to be banned in a rational, no evil society. I propose that wherever the word evil has until now been used in regard to actions causing subjective disgust or similar subjective emotional reaction, I propose we should instead use the word nasty. Just for clarity, nasty acts are the acts that disgust you. Evil acts are the acts which a rational, no evil society would have to ban in order to attract any rational members. Now, what do we have in conclusion? In conclusion of this presentation, we do not have a method of detecting an inherent quality of a human decision. We do not have a way that we can prove that evil was inherently attached to a decision. We do have a principle that if we allow some animals, some beings, some entities with capacity to reason, if we allow some of those special privilege to perform an act, and when I say to perform an act, we understand the general principle, we act after we decide. We decide and the action follows the decision. Now, if you're following that general understanding of words and of how actions come about, then when I say perform an act or when I say make a decision, and when we attach the evil quality to that decision or to that act. Decision, act. No need to split hairs about it. Special privilege to perform an act which is evil if others perform it, then we understand from what I've been saying. We do not have the assurance that we will not be the target of an evil act. And that is another way of getting to grasp, and I understand this is the best way to grasp the principle of universality. Which is to say, if the ethical rule itself requires separation into us and them, there is always the chance that I am the them to some other group of us. And I'm going to summarize now. Again, sum up this presentation and get to the conclusion slowly, but I'm going to get there. We don't have inherence. We do have a necessary principle of universality. We also, I'm adding something here, we also have a filter of rationality. Stefan Molyneux has developed this in his book, Universally Preferable Behavior. Now, universally preferable behavior, or UPB, explains and clarifies many things. Among the things that it clarifies is that acts of aggression cannot be accepted as good acts. Let me put it in this way, in a way that I feel is the most sensible way to understand it, is there is no rational way to implement a no evil society pact, to formulate and to survivably implement a no evil society pact in which aggression is the good and not aggressing is the evil. In other words, you can't just have good and evil any old which way and make a pact and okay, that's it. Because some just won't work. You know, it just won't work if you have groups that are members of the society, or in other words, a class that is a member of the no evil society but can do evil. That can't work, right? That was an earlier point. And then this is another thing that we need to keep in mind, is there are some things which just can't be defined as the good. They have to be defined as the evil, or you have to find a way of saying, okay, we don't need to define that one. That one is non-moral. It's not a moral issue. It's not an ethical issue. It doesn't fall into the separation between good and evil. So, I just want to say something about what aggression is. An aggression is an act in which if I am the person doing the act, if I override your exercise of ownership of yourself, and I'll give a simple example. If you say to me, hey Desmond, you can spank me any day, and then I spank you, that is not an aggression. But if I spank you when you don't permit me to, that is an aggression. Really, nice simple example about how it works. And there's a lot of the detail in what aggression is and what it is not. But I'm not trying to go into all that detail. What I want to do here is, as I said earlier, sum up this presentation and the conclusion of this presentation. And so what I want to say is, we don't have an inherence of evil that attaches to the act, that attaches to a decision to act. We don't have that in the sense that it's extraneous to our capacity for negotiation. There isn't something inherent that is outside of our capacity for negotiation and just attaches to evil without our actually doing any negotiation around it. It is because, unlike lions and buffalo, we can trade behavior for reciprocal behavior that we, in the first place, can separate evil from good. Now, we don't have inherence. We do have desire. We do have the capacity for negotiation. We have the capacity for trade. We do have a principle that universality is required for the trade of good for good. It's required in order to reliably produce a benefit for every single member of the trading group. If it's not universal, somebody gets screwed. If we have We have that. And then another thing that we have is the UPB filter of rationality. There is no rationality in trading with others and at the same time overriding their ownership of the things that you want to trade with them. A puppeteer isn't trading with his puppets. So with what we have, with everything that I've put out here in this presentation and now made my best effort to sum up, I come to what my advice is. My advice is make a formal pact. Set up a no-evil society. Try to get all 7 billion humans to sign this pact and to do no evil to the other signatories. It's a simple summary of advice. And what I'm saying is, yes, I understand it's extremely unlikely that 7 billion humans are all going to view this presentation. However, it is still my intention that this is the advice to all those 7 billion or however many humans that it could theoretically possibly reach if anybody bothered. And my challenge to you, the viewer, my challenge to you, the listener, is what is wrong with that advice? Is there anything wrong with it? Tell me. Now, if you can't fault that advice, then tell me this. What is your excuse for not following it? Please, let me know. I thank you for listening, and I look forward to your response.